All right, folks, welcome back to the show. Last Friday, our fine, upstanding Attorney General, Eric Holder, said that the administration will talk to Congress about changing the classification of marijuana, which is currently a Schedule I controlled substance, meaning it has no accepted medical use. A lot of people think that, you know, this is just the next step in trying to legalize marijuana right across the board for medicinal purposes and otherwise. And joining us once again is Martin Ely, activist, author, and co-founder of Project CBD. Hello, good to see you again.
Nice to be with you, Steve.
All right, so let's talk about this. From a factual basis, before we get into our little usual tit for tat here, if they take it out as a Schedule I drug and reclassify it, what would they reclassify it as? What is Holder getting at here, and what would that mean?
Well, for starters, he's playing politics here because Holder does not need the approval of Congress to do this. It's at the discretion of the Attorney General. It could be made into another schedule. It is now Schedule I, which technically means a dangerous drug with no medical value. That's really like saying the moon is made of green cheese, when you look at it from a scientific point of view. The question is, where are this going to go? Would they make it Schedule II, like cocaine, methamphetamine is? Or would they make it less of a schedule, like THC, pure THC, the component of marijuana that causes the high is actually a Schedule III drug, which is considered a relatively safe and something that's not considered much abuse potential because, frankly, people don't like just pure THC. If it comes alone, it's a very disagreeable experience. When it's part of the plant, that's another matter. Then it confers a mild.
All right, so in layman's terms, for people like me who, you know, follow you sort of but don't understand what all that means, so they
still restricted, as the cocaine, which is Schedule II, is still a restricted drug, but it would make it easier for scientists and doctors to research it because right now it's almost impossible for.
All right, well, you know, I got to tell you, I mean, you know, you look at some of the literature written and columns written by people, especially on the left and such as yourself, and kind of think that it's inevitable that this will become legalized down the road, and that's what people want. I don't agree with that, and you know, I point to studies that show that in Colorado, for instance, we're seeing a huge increase in the amount, and this is something that has been denied to me over and over and over again over the years. I don't know if you were in on that denial or not, but I'm not going to call you a denier like the reprehensible left calls climate people who don't believe in it. But people involved in fatal crashes who are driving and high on marijuana. Now, I've always heard that, oh, nobody's going to drive high on marijuana, or it's much better than if they're high on alcohol. But common sense dictates a controlled substance, mind-altering substance, you don't want that person behind the wheel, but it's happening and people are dying. I mean, is this to be overlooked?
No, not at all. I think you raise a good point. The problem is when you look at these statistics, it's very difficult to tell if a person who tests positive for THC in their system is actually high at the time they're driving because it stays in the body for about a month. So if I smoke some marijuana 1 month ago, just one time, and I'm tested a month later, it could still be in my system. That doesn't mean I'm inebriated or intoxicated. It stays in the fatty tissue in the bottle.
Well, how would you suggest we punish these people? In other words, say we can't test for it to see if you were on it when you were driving, so because the test is positive and it may mean, taking you at your word, that for argument's sake, that it could be a month ago, we're going to let you go? I mean, should there be no penalty so people can, in fact, then light up, get in the car an hour later, and the test would show no difference than if it was a month ago? That's not right.
Well, if a person's driving intoxicated, whatever the substance is, and they get into a car crash, they have to be held responsible.
But sometimes you can't tell except for the test. So it's a catch-22 we're describing.
But the tests aren't accurate.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So what do you do?
That's the problem. Well, if a person gets into a car crash, you can't assume that's because they smoked marijuana 1 month ago.
But no, but you're right. No. So you would assume what? That they smoked it more recently?
Not necessarily.
Well, then what's your answer?
Plenty of people get into car crashes.
But what's your answer then? In other words, somebody gets into an accident, they test positive for marijuana. Again, for argument's sake, I'm going on your word that it could be from a month ago. What do? Charge them with driving under the influence or not? And if it's not, then theoretically someone could light up and know that with impunity they could go drive, and even if they got into an accident, they wouldn't be charged with driving under the influence.
It's a dilemma unless different ways are made
Well, then
to
why
test
not
the
just
drug.
ban the stupid drug? Because this is a big dilemma. Innocent people will die, and the people will go away unpunished, and in fact encouraging other people to light up, smoke, leave the house, and go drive because they can't prove I smoked. That's more than a dilemma. That's lives.
But this has nothing to do with scheduling, rescheduling.
But it's
plants.
the whole marijuana issue.
Rescheduling, but all it would mean is that researchers can get access to it to address the very questions, the pertinent questions that you're raising, and could explore the potential health benefits from marijuana, of which there are significant many.
Well,
So-
that's what you say and what some others say, but the abuse of the drug has to be addressed. In other words, while this is going on, why not wait until we have so much more conclusive medical evidence before anybody legalizes this for recreational use whatsoever?
Well, for there to be conclusive evidence, there has to be research allowed to happen.
All right, so
to
you would
judge
be
that.
for doing away with legalization in Colorado and Washington State and any future legalization for recreational use, lowering or changing the Schedule I classification, doing research, and pending the research, readdressing the legalization for recreational use?
No, actually, I would be for legalization because I think that would be better for the country,
Well, wait a minute. Okay, you'd be better for legalization for recreational use for everybody.
for adult use.
Okay, before we even change the Schedule I or in concert with changing the Schedule I.
Cannabis has been used for thousands of
so
years
let's just-
without any fatalities. You know,
Wait,
that doesn't.
wait. You
can't
pulled that
overdose.
line on me. You can't overdose.
You cannot
No.
overdose
That
and
is
kill
not
yourself
true.
from the drug.
That is absolutely not
No
true.
one has ever died from an overdose.
How do you know that? How do you
is
know no one has ever died from
not
marijuana
even the
overdose?
federal
Never,
government.
ever.
It's impossible.
That's like Al
You know
Sharpton saying
why?
there's no voting fraud.
Here's why you know that. Because the receptors in the brain that are linked to marijuana, they're not on the brainstem.
Okay.
Like opiates, which are on the brainstem. So if you overdose, you stop
Right.
breathing.
There are a
It doesn't
million
happen that
arguments,
way.
there, the least of which is it's a gateway drug, and it's been proven to be a gateway
It
drug.
has not been proven.
Having said that, let's focus on the one. Having said that, let's focus on the one issue that I brought up, and that your answer was, let's change the schedule of the drug, and we could investigate that, which is people smoking and getting behind the wheel and killing other people. And you're saying, don't, while we investigate that, stop it for recreational use in those few states that have it. You're saying legalize it for the whole country so that in every state we'll have the same exact problem of people getting in their car and killing people. I don't even understand
But
that.
this does not correspond to reality. What they've shown in states that have legalized medical marijuana across the board, there's less drunk driving accidents as a result because people drink less alcohol when more marijuana is available.
You said medical marijuana. You just said
Marijuana or medical marijuana. But
why would you increase
because
medical marijuana, cut down on drunk driving accidents?
Because in states where it's more available and people use marijuana
like you to meet
more,
my,
they drink
two.
less alcohol and get into less traffic accidents.
Right.
That has been shown in academic studies, several of them.
What?
matter of fact.
They've only
So what
legalized it
you're-
in a couple of states recently. What kind of academic studies?
in medical marijuana states.
Okay, well, I'm talking about recreational right now. And recreational in those states, in Colorado, first of all, there's cases of little kids ingesting these marijuana-laced things and getting very, very sick. But we got 1 minute. I'll give you one more chance. What about the problem of increased fatalities with people who are tested positive for marijuana as the driver?
But we don't know if that's due to marijuana because the tests
Right.
only show that a person has used it within the last month. It doesn't show that a person's intoxicated at the time of driving.
But your answer to addressing that problem
know
and
if
that
that's a
conundrum
problem.
is legalize it for the whole country.
No, we don't know if it's a problem.
I'll err on the side of saving lives as opposed to saying it's not a
I
problem.
certainly will, and that's why I believe marijuana should be legalized for therapeutic use.
All right.